A Chicago mom is speaking out after a neighbor recently called police because her young daughter was walking the family dog unsupervised. The neighbor in Chicago's upscale North Shore suburb reportedly told police the child was 5 or younger. But Corey Wyden says when she told police that her daughter was actually 8, they said that was fine and they left. Child Services was then called, but not by the police. The family had to hire an attorney before the case was closed. Wyden says she felt mom-shamed.
Something similar happened to author Kim Brooks. She left her then 4-year-old son in a car with his iPad as she shopped for 5 minutes inside a store. But Brooks didn't realize a stranger recorded her child alone and then called the police. The fallout from that moment caused Brooks to take a deeper look at why today's parents deal with so much criticism, doubt, and worry. Her new book is Small Animals: Parenthood in the Age of Fear. Kim Brooks, good morning.
Good morning.
You write in the book, I felt as though I'd been caught doing something very bad. Explain how this made you feel as a mother.
You know, I felt every mother wants to be the best mother she can be. And so when someone suggests that you've done something wrong, it can be very upsetting. At the same time, I didn't really understand why what I had done was wrong or dangerous. And so that's why I started researching and talking to other women who had had similar things happen to learn more about what the actual risks are when it comes to giving children independence and freedom.
You talk in the book, though, about that moment. You were visiting your family in Virginia, and you went to a Target to get some headphones. You were just going to be there for 5 minutes. You factored in the weather, leaving the windows down, parking in the front of the store. So there must have been something telling you that this may not be the greatest of ideas, right?
Not really. I mean, I think what was telling me that, if anything, was just the fact that I live in a city, and so in the city, I don't do things like that because people steal cars, there's those issues. But I think what I was feeling was that this was where I grew up, and I had so many memories of my own parents letting me wait in a car for a few minutes while they ran errands in the 80s. And so it didn't feel unsafe. I mean, obviously, I wanted to make sure that the conditions were safe in terms of it not being hot or anything like that.
Kim,
but, yeah.
Where does this sense of anxiety come from that you investigated in your book?
I think there's sort of two things. One is that, you know, because we often see on the news or on the internet stories of, you know, terrible things happening to children, even if those things that we see aren't very common or aren't statistically likely, those give us a sense that things are more dangerous than they might actually be. One interesting statistic I found in writing the book was that, for example, it would actually take statistically on average 750,000 years for a child left in a public space to be abducted or kidnapped. But that's something parents worry about all the time, right? Stranger danger. Whereas 487 children on average are injured or killed in just car accidents every single day. That's something we don't think about a lot.
And so this anxiety causes us to bubble wrap our children. And what is the downside of doing that, making them live in this world in which they can engage in nothing that might cause them a paper cut?
Yeah, well, the problem is that a lot of what children actually need to learn developmentally, they have to learn by doing some things on their own, you know, and by having some freedom, independence. Things like resiliency, problem solving, just learning to sort of navigate the world. We don't do these things if our parents or if adults are doing everything for us. The other thing I learned that was really interesting is that psychologists say one of the things that actually makes people happiest in the world is having what they call an internal locus of control, which means that you as a person get to decide how you spend your time, what you do with your time. And when this psychologist told me this, I thought, my God, children must not be very happy these days, because the one thing we don't give them is that opportunity to decide what they do with their time.
What did you learn about how mothers and fathers are held to a different parenting standard?
Yeah, I do think that this sort of thing does happen to fathers, but what I found is that I think a lot of times when people see a father doing something, even if they don't approve of exactly what they're doing, there's a sense of like, well, good for him, for being with the kids, and babysitting and giving mom a break. I actually talked to one woman, Julie Kaler, who had a similar thing happen to her, and her husband had done almost the identical thing a year before, and the cop who came to the scene just said, well, I know how it is, I know how hard it is to be with the kids, and kind of let him go. The other problem is that because in this country, because women still, unfortunately, do more than their fair share of the child care and the domestic work, anything that hurts parents or makes things harder for parents will disproportionately affect women.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kim Brooks, you have raised a lot of really interesting questions and brought some research. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Small Animals is available now.